Hello everybody, it's Elms, Jolly Elm on Net54. Here's my channel, Elms Adventures in Cardboard Land, and my email, whatwouldElm.do at AOL.com, in case you're interested in trading or anything. This is the last part of my big SGC blind reveal. This section of it is going to feature all sorts of cool stuff. So let's get started. First one is this really nice Nolan Ryan 1973. The first card of him actually in an Angels jersey instead of, let me show you this, instead of this ridiculous, he's in the Mets pinstripes, but they painted, they had some, I don't know, high school kid paint an Angels hat for his head. So I'm not sending this one in because of the centering. It's another sweet card, but way off centered. So this one, these, I call them golden newbies because it's 73. To me, that's too new to send away to be graded. But these days, it's now 50 years ago. So you gotta send them. This is a pretty nice example. It's centered a little low. Corners are pretty nice. There's really no problems with it. So I'm gonna guess this one. I'm gonna say a 7. We'll see what happens with that, as always. From the same year, okay. This is a Roberto Clemente, and at a recent show, I got into it with, it was this girl. She's a woman, but, you know, I call girls, girls, guys, guys, whatever. So this girl was working the table, and I was looking at, not this card, but her version of this card, and she came over to me, asked me, you know, what I'm looking for, that kind of thing. And I remarked, do you really know about this stuff? It was kind of a, you know, it's a normal question. Let's say I'm behind the counter in a doll shop, and a girl comes in. Wouldn't she ask me the same thing? Wait, do you really know about this stuff? It wasn't condescending. It wasn't anything like that, but I think I could read people pretty well, and I was having a tough time trying to figure out if she was pissed at me or she was just trying to sell me on things. And she went on a long, not a tirade, but a long lecture about Clemente. She knew a lot about him. A lot of it is basic stuff, but it was just bizarre. And it all started with this card. This one's pretty nice also. It's at Shea Stadium. Man, I was trying to figure out where the 1972 Hank Aaron in action card was filmed. I assumed it was Shea, and so I did a search of 1971 basically to look at games, and what I ended up doing is looking at Jets games at Shea Stadium. My God, if you ever want to laugh, just look back on old football games. This is what I grew up to, where the fields would be right on top of baseball diamonds, and how freaking violent the game was, and all the running backs, especially in Jets games from 71, 72, were John Riggins. He was known as a huge guy, like a throwback to the old days. And when you look back on these games, various Jets games, it's all the highlights about Broadway Joe, but you just see how huge the running backs are. They were just monsters who just pound straight down the middle. Really bizarre. A completely different game than it is now. All the linemen and all the defensive ends with their arms and fingers all taped up. it was just crazy watching it, and nobody celebrated. It's like you sack the quarterback, you just get back and get back on defense. You score a touchdown, you might spike the ball, but that's it. Nothing. Nowadays, it's like a whole production. All right, sorry about that, but this is obviously in Shea with Jerry Grody, with the 3,000 hits on the back, which everyone knows. Centered pretty nicely, a tiny bit off. The back is way off, but this has got to get a 7. Gotta. All right, I don't want to mess these things up. Okay. This one is basically when you lend your car to your brother and it comes back and you found out that he ran into a dumpster outside of Northport, New York. I guess that's a little too personal right there. True story. But it's crunched here. The card is pretty nice, pretty well centered, but it got hit or scrunched over, so that's gonna sort of kill it. So I'm gonna have to guess. I mean, is it a crease? Is it? I don't know what it would be called, but I'm gonna have to guess a 4 on that one. This is a 65 Clemente. Bob, I just, this always that furor of, oh, races, call him Bob. But it's like, if you look at Bob Gibson cards, his autograph on them is always Robert Gibson. So they called him Bob, just like they called white guys Bob. So, I don't know. Again, that's a debate for a different day. But this one, again, it's pretty nice. Corner touches here and there. I don't really see. Usually when you flip it over, you could really get a good indication because if you see white. But I'm going to guess a 6 on this one. That might be generous, but I'm not sure. It's kind of a cloudy day out here in California, so I don't have my vision. I call that incandescent. When you're at a card show, the lighting is always just god awful. It's like night is about to fall the whole time. You can't really get a clear glimpse of what you're looking at. All right, this is a 61 Hank Aaron. Pretty cool card. I like it. Off-centered both ways. It's like my entire collection, I'm sure, just like everyone else's, is way off-centered. But again, it's pretty decent. I don't know how much that's going to kill it, the off-centeredness. But let's just say it'll be a 5. I want more. I always want more. Everyone always wants more. But I want to be realistic. Couple of Giants coming up. Okay. Like the Hank Aaron from the same year, this Willie Mays is so free. It's impossible to find centered. This one, almost always, the picture, the image is falling off the side. That side, it's all of them. The way they were cut, there's always a ton of white on the right, no white on the left. And this one is just beautiful. It's like nearly perfectly centered. If you get your calipers out, it'll be off a teeny bit, but seeing that much white on the left gives me hope. The funny thing about this is it's obviously at Candlestick Park, probably a sunny game in the middle of summer 1971, and he has this long sleeve shirt on, up, it's around his neck. It's just, he's huddling for warmth. There's that famous quote by Mark Twain, how the coldest winter he ever spent was summer in San Francisco. And yes, before anyone says anything, there's no proof he actually said that. But it is so freaking true. I grew up in New York on Long Island, and we'd go to the beach on 4th of July. Go to the beach, you're having bonfires, you're barbecuing, you're playing wiffle ball, you're just partying. It's hot as hell, you're getting burnt to a crisp. And at night, you're so freaking hot. Out here in California, the first 4th of July I spent, we were going to the city, going to San Francisco. When you say the city, it's only Manhattan. I mean, come on, the city. We're going into San Francisco on the BART train, and I'm dressed in shorts and a tank top, which I always am, and my girlfriend's like, "You sure you can be warm enough?" I'm like, "What do you mean? It's 4th of July." We get there, and like as soon as it hits, 5, 6 o'clock, whatever it is, later in the afternoon, the temperature just starts dropping, and it is so ridiculous. You're watching 4th of July celebrations with people dressed in parkas, and I'm not even kidding. This is no joke. Dressed in coats to celebrate 4th of July. I didn't know what freaking universe I was in, and I was freezing my ass off. So we're going to all the touristy places trying to buy, $4 sweatshirts and all that to get some clothes on me. It was the most stunning thing ever, and it just made that quote so freaking true. It's just freezing in summertime, and that's why he's all dressed the way he is. I forget if I said anything, 7. But I brought that up because, I mean, this is probably spring training, but there's Willie McCovey with, he's all sleeved up. I love high numbers. That's one of my cardboard passions. And it's really cool when you go to, I don't even know what the stadium is called here anymore, A&T Park, AT&T Park or something. It's probably not, with the big mitt in the outfield, but they have McCovey Cove. That is cool as all hell. You go out there, take some pictures looking back at the stadium. It's just an awesome thing. Dedication to this guy, Willie McCovey. This is a high number, 550. It's not one of the short prints or anything, but it's got to get me a 6. I'd like more. I'm trying to underguess, but let's go 6. Okay, a couple of variations. First, this guy, Bob Olin. He's famous for this car. I mean, everyone wants it, so he's famous for it. Way off-centered. But again, with variations, you just got to do it. You got to jump in and get it done. Another giant. I just realized I'm full of giants, which I should bring up. One of my other videos, I talked about seeing a rattlesnake. But there was another time. We were driving up it's Mount Diablo. I don't know why they say Diablo. I say Diablo, Mount Diablo. And we're driving up it. You drive up this. It's a tall mountain. It has a bit. It's involved a bit in the Zodiac stuff. But you're driving up it because there's a scenic overlook. And we pulled over to check out the vista, to look everything over. And I suddenly turned to my girlfriend. I'm like, what in high fuck is that thing? And I'm pointing it to some type of gnarly canine beast that's on the grass on the other side. It was kind of a dirt area on the opposite side of the path. And she says, "Oh, I think that's a coyote." A coyote. So I said, "Excuse me, did you really just tell me that 20 feet away from me is a fucking coyote? A fucking coyote?" Oh my God. And having Roadrunner in my blood, I just opened the door. I don't get afraid easily. I opened my door, and I grabbed my camera and I start chasing after this thing. But I'm like, I was born in Queens. I'm looking at a fucking coyote. And she's yelling at me, "They're dangerous," all that. So I ran after this thing, and with my camera, I'm like, I got to get a picture. I got to take a picture of this thing, send it back to my buds. And so I chase after it. It's looking at me with this strange, bemused look, like, what's this fucking guy doing chasing me? I'm the one doing the chasing. And I snapped a picture of him. And I have that picture for the intermission for this video. I'll show it. It's just, he's just looking back at me like, what the fuck? It's a goddamn coyote. Woo. All right, I'm gonna guess because of the centering, I'm gonna say a 4 on that one. It looks nicer, but you know, that's the way it goes. This is a real tough variation. This is actually more of a variation than most people know. This is one I discovered. It's the no dot variation, but if you look, I have such old tech here. I need to use a phone with autofocus. But the dot, you could actually, the bullet, you could actually see a tiny bit of a shadow there. So I call this the phantom bullet. It's by far the hardest. There's no bullet, and then there's phantom bullet. The other two cards from the set, the was it 404 and 326, the Braves and Pirates teams, they have no dot with dot variations as well. Those are a lot easier to find, but they have slight variations in the bullets disappearing too. This one's real nice. If you look under a microscope, magnifying lens though, there are corner issues. Tiny though, but you know, in hand you don't see it. It's a real tough variation. I wouldn't be able to send this probably to PSA because it would be too much potential value for one of their for their pricing. It's got to get a 7, but I'm going to say a 6 to protect myself. All right, so 6 on that one. Pete Rose, I bought this card, just a tiny bit off center, top to bottom. Beautiful card, beauty barn. It's got to be a 7. Centering, I don't know what that does. The card itself is like a 9 without the centering. So I'll drop 2 off of that and say a 7. But I bought this. I got a good deal on it. I always negotiate. I constantly am chatting people up, seeing what I can do. And I'm cheap. Alright. This is a classic card. You see the word I used? Classic. I didn't use the fucking word iconic. The most overused word in the history of the world the last few years. Every time you read anything, iconic, iconic. If somebody uses the word iconic, I don't listen to another goddamn word they say. It's like a couple years ago someone said, hey, this is the new word, let's use it. Just like when you're hearing about people's relationships. Oh, it's toxic. It's the stupidest. You never heard this word before, once in a while. But now, if you put the History Channel on, or whatever it's called these days, Discovery, constant with these idiots. Iconic. Come up with a different goddamn fucking word. Sorry, it just drives me bananas. Anyway, a classic card, completely off-centered. It's bordering on miscut. I think it gets right to the top of the white. I'm not sure if any of it is actually missing. Otherwise, there's one bad corner. Not bad, but just touched. The other 4 corners are nice. So this would have been a 7, close to an 8, around a 7, I guess. Without the centering. And it's Mantle and Mays. You got to send it in. So as much as this one's going to get killed because of the centering or non-centering, it's, I'm going to say a 4. There's nothing possibly wrong with it. I guess you could the back, I guess, there's a tiny bit of that showing, so it would be miscut if it was PSA. I have to send it in. It's going to get killed on the grade, and again, people are going to see the grade, whatever low grade it is, and say, say it's a 4. They're going to think it's a 4. That's miscut instead of it's a 4 because it's miscut. But I'll guess 4. I have no idea what they'll do with this thing. This classic card. This is the last card, complete and utter, pun intended, wild card. This is Jim Kaat. When people are doing things like they're selling stuff, Hall of Famers, HOF, when they include the word Hall of Famers in everyone's mind, you think of the guys I just showed, like, not Mantle because he's on his own plane, but value-wise, I mean, but Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Roberto Clemente, Sandy Koufax. You think of these guys, but when you see someone selling it and they're hawking stuff with Hall of Fame, it's always people like Jim Kaat, Jim Bunning, Don Sutton, these days Bert Blyleven. And there's nothing against them. They're Hall of Famers. But it's just, as a collector, they don't mean anything to you. Like, to me, they don't. Jim Kaat, he was around forever. Gold Gloves, all that stuff. But, I never would have thought of him as a Hall of Famer. But there he is. Anyway, long ramble. This is the closest thing you'll find to a perfect card. I mean, it's not worth the $15 to have it graded, but, I mean, the tiniest bit of off-centeredness, is that a word? Off-centeredness, side to side, but this should be a 9. I mean, it should. There's nothing wrong with this thing. It's a perfect card. And since he's a Hall of Famer, I'm sending it in. It's completely wild card. I don't know, but I wanted to round this stuff out. This, I think, 12 here, so I needed a 12th card, and I decided I bought this only, I don't even know, $5, couple bucks, but it was beautiful, and I said, screw it, I'm buying it. And it's misspelled name, so it's Kaat to get a 9. Like what I did there. All right. That's it. This is the last one. Elm's Adventures in Cardboard Land. My stupid name. Jolly Elm at Net 54. I don't sell anything really, once in a blue moon, but when these come back, you're interested in trading or talking about it, give me a shout. Okay? Elm's out. Here's the actual picture I took of that coyote up on Mount Diablo. I'm chasing after him, and he stops, and he looks back like, what the F, dude? Hello, everybody. It's Elms. This is a cool thing my girlfriend and I put together, excuse me. That's me, photoshopped, obviously. And the fedora, yes, that's the type of hat Indiana Jones is wearing. It's a fedora. Helps cover the fact that I'm very follically challenged these days. But I just thought that'd be pretty cool to show. All right. This is the reveal part of a big submission. Got some cool cards. So let's jump right in and get it done. Long-suffering Bills fan. It's my my cool hat. I always wear this thing. All right. I'm going to do a little, what is it called? LIFO, last in, first out for the first card. This is the Jim Kaat, a card I don't care about. I want it to be a huge number, but every time I do this, it fails. But I was talking about this, got it cheaply, so let's just jump right in and see what this one did. 8-5. I wanted a 9, maybe the tiny bit of off-centering. All right, so, you know, is it worth 15 bucks? I don't even know. Probably. I mean, it's just an absolutely gorgeous card. All right. Then we move on to Nolan Ryan in his Angels jersey. One of the, the most famous pitchers of all time. Everybody loves this guy. Just a crowd favorite. Let's see how we did here. Oh, woo! Oh, that sucks. 6. I wanted a 7. Yeah, 6 is not going to get it done. It's centered a little low. I don't think there's anything else wrong with it. But we don't know what the hell they see that changes things. So 6, all right. I guess the 7 got a 6. So I'm off on both so far. Clemente. After talking about this card and the girl I was going back and forth with a little bit, it's a cool career capper for him. I'm not sure if it was a tribute or it was too late because it was in the first series, so maybe the cards were already out and done before his untimely death. But let's see how we did on this. It's going to be lower than I thought. 6-5. I guess the 7 also. So I'm still, I'm in the elevator downward, but what can you do? It's sort of like out here going to a store, a pizza parlor that says New York pizza. New York pizza, my ass. I keep falling for that crap. You walk in to a place and it says New York pizza or New York style. They put the word style, but it's just this thick of bread with like a whisper of sauce, and they call that New York pizza. Ridiculous. My sister flew out here once to visit me, and she smuggled in pizza in her suitcase from Little Vincent's in Huntington, Long Island, the best pizza on the planet. And that was great, but you can't get New York pizza out here. All right, this one was crunched on the side a little bit. So let's see what happened here. 4, I believe I guessed that. Yeah, 4. I think you could, maybe with I have a much better camera now. I was using an old camera to film this, but right here, it was hit. It was crunched. So that screws it. Other than that, it's a beautiful card. All right, but not unexpected. This is the Clemente from, I keep saying his name different ways. Roberto Clemente. But Clemente? I don't know. This is decent. I guessed a 6. Let's see what we did. How we did. It got a 6. All right. I think even if there are little bits of corner issues, not really much at all, but I think the centering really, this is another tough card to find centered. I think that accounted a lot for the 6. Was based probably a lot on the centering. It's a beautiful image and everything, but the 6 really sold it. This is the off-centered Hank Aaron. Off-center both ways. It looks like a nice card. It should get a decent grade. Not too high, but it's a nice one. It's a different card for him with, showing him about to throw the ball. I really like this card. 5-5. All right, I guess a 5. So, all right, I'm a little better on that one. Woohoo! It's about time. Okay. Oh, this is the Willie Mays. In the first part of this video, I'm talking incessantly about how cold it gets out here in California. And in it, I mentioned the famous Mark Twain quote. and I point out that, there's no proof he ever said it, because there's always that idiot that'll say it. It's sort of like the 1965 World Series card where Mickey Mantle's hitting a home run in the World Series. But the picture itself shows the catcher with the ball in his mitt, and it's Bob Gibson on the mound who just hurled it. So he didn't hit that that's not the pitch or the play he hit a home run on. And there's always that fucking snarky douchebag who has to point it out. So whenever I'm talking about that card, I always, in parentheses or somehow, refer to it. Yes, we know he didn't do it. Well, anyway, so the Mark Twain quote in the video, I said, yes, we realize Mark Twain, there's no proof he ever said it. There was a thread on Net 54 right after I filmed this video, just a couple of days ago, after I filmed the first part of this video. And of course, someone mentions the Mark Twain quote, and yet again, someone has to, he didn't really say that, because these types of people, they always have to be the smartest person in the room when they just state the most obvious shit. People like that annoy the living crap out of me. And it's always the same types of people. They just want attention. They think they're enlightening everybody. Oy. Anyway, so this one should be good. 7-5. All right, I guess the 7, I believe. Yeah, this one got the 5 for centering, definitely. Excuse me. This is just a great card. I love this card. I mean, I hate the card with the leg. Like, come on. Get a better shot of Willie. But the centering got it a nice bump there. That's cool. Which one's this? Oh, this is the McCovey. Talked about McCovey Cove. Really cool. That statue out there, and you look over the water where all the guys in the kayaks and canoes are to catch home run balls. I'm not sure how many have landed in the drink since, the steroid era ended, or hopefully, knock on wood, ended. But it's just cool, nonetheless, looking back at the stadium there. And you could watch the game for a little while. It's like a screen door almost, and people walking along. If you're out in San Francisco and you go near the stadium, you could just watch a little bit of the game from the outfield, from the right field corner there. That's really cool also. Very fan-friendly. All right, how'd we do? 6. That's what I guessed. I believe I said it got to get a 6, and that's exactly it. I think SGC really does grade well. There's a couple of things I'm shocked about, but it's possible things I can't see. But in general, like that, look like a 6. Just, from your eyes, not, putting it under magnification or anything. It should be a 6, and it was. This one, I forgot to mention that this is the white streak in the name variation. So when I was talking about how everyone wants this card, that's what I meant. It's Bob and the white streak. I got to make sure they wrote it on the slab. White streak. All right. Yeah, it's this thing here. I have a really weird one that's a PSA 8 that it's blobbish. It just looks different. It's obviously from the same process of same printing that caused the white streak, but it's unique. I haven't seen another one like it. All right, 5. I believe I guess a 4 only. Yeah, because of the centering. It's a nice card. It's just centering that does it. This is the Phantom Bullet. This is a tough variation. If they're lower grade, you could get them pretty easily. They're not that rare. But in bigger grades, they're impossible, and they get expensive very quickly. And this is the Phantom bullet. It has a, like, you could see that there should be a bullet there. It just isn't. It just isn't. There just isn't. I don't know if I said that correctly. Let's see. 7.5. All right. I believe I guessed, like, yeah, I was trying to be safe and say a 6, even though I think this card is beautiful. So 7.5 is not, I mean, it's sharp. I talked about looking at it under a magnifying lens. The corners are a little bit off, but in hand, in view, it's just a beautiful card. So that's nice. I'm happy with that. I would have liked an 8, but I'm not going to sneeze at that. This is Pete Rose. This is sort of a throw-in. I believe 4 of these graded, something like that. A couple of 9 off centers from PSA. I'm not really sure why I sent this. It's a beautiful card, just way off center. I said it's off centered one way, but it's actually off centered both ways. So let's see if the rose has a thorn. 6.5. I guess a 7. Base solely on centering. Yeah, so if I sold this, it's almost not even worth it. 6.5. I'll deal with it. Oh, God. This classic card. I can't tell you how many fucking times I hear the fucking word iconic. It is just insane. When I'm on the message boards here, the amount of times people use it, it's just fucking ridiculous. If you're watching football, like I'm watching the Packers, wasn't Packers Detroit, who was it? Was it Packers and Cowboys? I forget what the fuck it was. But they're talking, oh, 2 iconic teams. And then there's a commercial about food and, oh, we deliver the iconic brand. It's like, stop using the fucking word. Come up with a different word. Looking at a freaking thesaurus, there's a million different words, but everyone, oh, iconic. Fucking morons. Can't stand it. I'm still laughing from the first part of this video. It just, you can't get away from this stupid word. Put on the TV. It's constant. Ugh. This is going to be low because it's basically miscut. I pointed out, I believe, you could see a little of a bit, I think it's here, black from the card next to it. So it is miscut. How bad did we do? Oh, woo! Yeah, the center. I mean, I knew it, but there's no creases. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever except the centering. But that is not a good way to leave this video. But it's a 2. I mean, it's, you know, I'm probably better off just breaking it out if I ever sell it. I mean, because it's beautiful. It just miscut. But a 2, well, can't do anything about it. It's a great card. You know, some of these things are pretty awesome. I mean, I'm really happy with this. But it's Elms. You could hit me up here, or what would Elm do at AOL.com. I hope you enjoyed the video. I try to, you know, just add some personality or something. I don't know. Make it less boring than the other ones you see. But that's it. So Elm's out.